The Miami Heat's 2023 season has not gone to plan by any means. They're kind of having a fall from grace moment right now in this season. Now, I'm not saying they are a bad team, but they're no longer, in my opinion, that finals contending dark horse team that they have been for pretty much the past 3 years in the NBA, and it really just hasn't been a great time to be a Miami Heat fan, a Miami Heat player. It's just been all around a kind of disappointing season. Like I said, they're not bad. They're just pretty much average right now, and they're going to probably be a play-in team, and then no telling what happens in the play-in tournament because it's a one-game thing. So there's even a chance they don't even make the playoffs, which is crazy coming from a team that was literally just in the Eastern Conference Finals last year. But I'll be getting to all that in the video, and basically I want to get into all their past success that they've recently had, how it kind of went wrong, and why I think personally they're having this lackluster season. So the first thing I really want to get into is pretty much going to be all the past success they've actually had. To really set it up, let's talk about the last 3 years basically of recent Miami Heat history. Obviously 3 years ago, everybody knows they made that Cinderella run in the bubble where they made it to the NBA Finals. They played the Los Angeles Lakers. Yes, they did lose in 6 games, but they were still in the NBA Finals. No one expected them to make it that far. Now, yes, you could say they were a little bit of a bubble boys, dirty bubble team type thing, but I think overall that they were actually a very, very good team, very underrated, and they did deserve to be in the NBA Finals, as we saw, because they did go 6 games with the Lakers. It's not like they got blown out or anything. They legitimately put up a fight, and that was really the first thing of success we've seen from the Miami Heat since the LeBron era. And then you even go back to last year, not last year, but 2 years ago. Although they didn't have a good playoff run, I'm pretty sure they lost in the first round to the Milwaukee Bucks. That was also the year that the Milwaukee Bucks won the NBA Finals. And I really can't fault them that much for it, because the Milwaukee Bucks killed everybody in the NBA playoffs that year, including the NBA Finals, where I'm pretty sure they beat the Phoenix Suns in 6 games and won 4 straight in that same series. So I really don't blame the Heat at all for not being able to show up that high level in the playoffs that year. And then they just rebounded just last season, as they were just in the Eastern Conference Finals last year in Game 7 against the Boston Celtics, just 1 game away from once again going to the NBA Finals for the second time in 3 seasons. So I really think that they were a high-level team for the past 3 years, and one of the best teams in the NBA. I don't think you can argue that if you look at their playoff success, their team success, and just how good they were and how they were built. They were legitimately one of the best teams in the NBA, and the reason I say that they were so good is to show how much of a far cry this current day team is from just what they were last season, as currently they are 33-31, sitting at the 7th seed in the Eastern Conference. They have lost 6 of their last 10 games, and as well are kind of showing chinks in the armor. Their master Ugwe of the team, or their sensei of the team, if you will, Udonis Haslem, came out and said, "I'm losing sleep at night. You know what I mean. This is not the way I wanted my last season to go." So he's even voicing his frustrations with how the season is going, and rightfully so. I mean, the dude's like 90 years old. He probably didn't want his last year to be barely making the playoffs and probably getting bounced in the first round, but that is exactly what it is looking like. And with this lack of success, it really kind of brings in the future of the roster into question, because they don't have that many ways to improve with how they are currently built. And before I really get into the future of what I think this roster could look like and what they probably need to do, let's get into how did this happen? How did they go from this perennial dark horse contending level team that can make the NBA Finals any given year for the past 3 years to now barely being a play-in team and maybe missing the playoffs if the play-in tournament does not go their way? So the first thing I want to get into is basically the offseason that they are currently going through, they went through just last season, as they did lose a few key role players, and those key role players being guys like PJ Tucker, Markieff Morris, and Dwayne Dedmon. Now, obviously, PJ Tucker is by far the biggest loss out of those 3. PJ Tucker was pretty much a perfect fit for this team, because although, yes, he's not the most skilled player, he fits this Miami Heat's culture pretty much perfectly. He's one of those tough guys you're never going to intimidate. He's always going to show up. He's going to hit the big shots if he's open. He's just going to be a veteran that you love to have on your team, and he's also a very, very good defender as well for his age. So for sure, PJ Tucker just fit this team perfectly, because their culture at Miami is a huge part to why they are so successful. So losing a veteran like PJ hurts the culture in many ways, and also he was just a perfect fit for what the team needed out of him. He was a good defender, did all the dirty work, and could hit corner threes. so he really helped spread the floor and just do all the little things for them. So losing a guy with PJ Tucker and his skill set actually put this team back a good bit. And then Markieff Morris, although he did not play that many games with Miami Heat at all, I think he only played like 17, he was still a veteran leader on this team who fits the culture, at least the grittiness of this team, and he was another very good fit. And then Dwayne Dedmon, they just lost him, I'm pretty sure this year. I'm not 100% sure if they lost him in the offseason or what, but they no longer have him on the team. And although Dwayne Dedmon is not the most talented player by any means, and he really doesn't make a team that much better by any means, he's just been with that team for so long. He's a veteran presence. He has chemistry with everyone in the locker room, and he was a solid locker room guy as well. So I think Dwayne Dedmon overall was a net negative to lose him, although he probably wasn't giving you the best production on the court as well. And overall, I think their culture just took a massive hit with those 3 losses, especially PJ Tucker. And with their culture being such a massive deal in Miami, I think this affected them a lot more than people really projected it to hurt them. And then another reason that is just inevitable is going to happen to everyone. Father Time is starting to take effect. Meaning, look at the players on this roster. One of them obviously being Kyle Lowry. Kyle Lowry, dude, is a shell of his former self. He just had an interview with a coach, I'm pretty sure, and they asked about his future on the team if he's coming back, and the coach just didn't answer it. Like, if that doesn't tell you how grim the future of Kyle Lowry's career probably looks, that isn't great. As right now, he's only giving you about 12 points per game, 4 rebounds per game, 5 assists per game on less than 40% shooting from the field and 33% shooting from the three-point line. So obviously a much far cry from the old Kyle Lowry we used to know. And honestly, this wouldn't be that big of a deal if you weren't paying him an absolute boatload of money. Like, he's 36 years old. His numbers are starting to fall off significantly. He no longer moves the needle in any significant way, and you're paying him a max deal for the next 2 seasons. So Miami cannot be happy about that. And then you have Jimmy Butler, who, although is still having a very good year, he's still an all-star level player, don't get me wrong, he's a great player still. Jimmy Butler is 33 years old. He's not getting any younger, okay? His stats are going to start to go down. How he plays is not going to be sustainable as he gets older. He's an extremely high-effort guy who's always going to get the nose down. He's going to try to get to the rim. He's going to play hard defense, and he really relies on that grit and his energy. And as you get older, the less energy you get. And with him already being 33 years old, that energy is going to start decreasing fairly soon. His ability to carry this team is going to decrease. And with how many minutes he gets every single night for the past, really, decade of his career, well, it's going to really start to probably take a toll on his body. So I would be surprised if Jimmy Butler, in the next 2 or 3 years, you don't start seeing a little bit of decrease in production from him. And then even a new addition in Kevin Love. I honestly don't know why they went get Kevin Love. I mean, I guess because of the name value, but Kevin Love is a 34-year-old whose numbers are drastically different from where they used to be in his prime, obviously, but they're not even, like, good numbers. Like, he's not putting up good numbers. At best, he's a floor-spacing big, but honestly, he's not even really that. He doesn't really fit the culture either of this team, in my opinion. He's not a great defender at all. He's kind of slow, so I really don't get the addition of Kevin Love. I don't think it makes him that much better, and he's also super old, but he is on an expiring contract at least, so that is a good thing for them. But with 3 of their starters in Lowry, Butler, and Kevin Love all being at least 33 years or older, that is not a good sign for them. They're going to continue to get worse. They're no longer going to continue to get better, and that is always a negative from a team that is a borderline play-in team as of right now. And to really just add the cherry on top of this kind of shit Sunday we have going on right now, they really don't have any money for free agency to make this roster any better going in the future. Because right now, they do have the 12th most cap space in the NBA, which looks like a really good thing, but let me kind of break down their cap situation right now. Because right now, they're playing Jimmy Butler, Bam Adebayo, and Kyle Lowry an absolute bag for at least the next 2 seasons. Now, Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler, that is understandable to be paying him that much. But Kyle Lowry, like I said earlier, is seeing a lack in production, and that is $96 million wrapped up in just 3 players, and only 2 of them are legitimately stars. And then their cap situation gets worse as you go, because paying your big names big money, every team does that. That's not that big of a deal, let's be honest here. But then when you're paying Duncan Robinson $16,900,000 to play a total of 32 games this season, that's a terrible contract. That is probably the worst contract in the NBA. And by the way, his contract goes up. He's going to be getting paid $19 million in the last year of his deal. So Duncan Robinson absolutely fleeced the Miami Heat. He is making out like a bandit right now. He has got to be happy with his situation. He's sitting on the bench, doesn't even have to play, getting paid an absolute bag. So I'm sure he's having a great time. But for the Miami Heat side of things, that is one of the worst contracts in the entire NBA for how they use him and for the lack of production he's been giving them as well. And then you also kick in the fact that Tyler Herro's extension is going to kick in next year, and they'll be paying him $120 million guaranteed over the next 4 years. Now you're starting to see where all their money is going to go. They can't really afford to pay for new guys because they have to pay their current guys that they already have obligations towards. And then you also go into the smaller things like Gabe Vincent and Max Strus are both way better than their current minimum contracts they are on. So they're going to probably be asking for about $10 to $15 million as well a year. So that's going to be money you have to allocate if you want to keep them around. And then Oladipo is going to opt into his $10 million option. So when you take all of that into account, you start to realize the Miami Heat do not actually have the 12th most cap space because of Tyler Herro's extension and all those other factors that I just mentioned. So they're really kind of broke as a joke right now, and they don't have really any room because they have too much talent to ever be a bottom team, so they're not going to get a high lottery pick. They have too many bad contracts to really trade away and free up money, and they have no money to bring in free agents. So they're really in a very, very bad situation, and at least for most teams that are in this kind of weird limbo mid-state, they have young guys that they can hope to develop and get better. The Miami Heat really don't. Tyler Herro, in my opinion, has peaked. They don't play Duncan Robinson. Nikola Jovic, I guess, could develop. Jimmy Butler's old. Kyle Lowry's old. Bam Adebayo, I think, is basically at his peak. He might get a little bit better, but not that significantly better. So I really don't think this team has any way to really improve in any significant way unless they make a massive trade. But it's very hard to make a massive trade while getting better because you're not trading Jimmy, you're not trading Bam, no one's trading for Kyle Lowry. The only really trade piece you have is Tyler Herro, and I don't know if you're getting a better player for Tyler Herro because he's also not a star level player. So I really don't know what you do if you're the Miami Heat. You either blow it up and kind of tank, or you try to ride it out and hope to God you can kind of catch fire when the playoff times roll around. But unfortunately, guys, that's my review video. So comment below, do you agree with me? Do you think the Miami Heat have fallen off? Why do you think they fell off? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. If you did like your point, hit the like button and subscribe button. It would mean the absolute to me, and I hope you have a blessed day, because I had a blessed day, so you need a blessed day. All glory to God. See you in the next video. Goodbye. Boo. Blah, blah.